Okay, so uh, I'm very curious to see what people thought of today. Welcome everybody, Stickers and Scuffs podcast. Cam K. Right now, we're talking about the dirt race. Take the dirt races actually that took place at. Don't know why I'm getting the sound here. Um, uh, yeah, the dirt race at Bristol. The two races, we got the truck series and we had the cup series just wrapping up right now. I would say a bit of a low, um, a bit of a low finish, a bit of a dud. I think the racing to start was really good. I don't think anybody would dispute that. The reality, I think, is that this was going to be our first shot to see what it was going to be like. And um, we're going to get our good buddy Graydon Bunn on here real soon. Graydon, to his credit, is going to come on after being under the weather for a lot of the past couple of days. So be nice to chat with him and see how he's doing. I'm very curious, honestly, to hear what people's thoughts were. Jay Santos, thank you for tuning in, my friend. Thank you for coming aboard and chatting with us. I want to hear, Jay, from you how you thought the race was. Was it satisfactory? Was it interesting? Was it completely boring? Um, I I can believe a lot of people would be, all over the place about it. I'm surprised. Honestly, I am very surprised. There's a lot of people very against it. There's not really skins. I'm surprised that you'd say that you're happy that Suarez didn't win. I was all for Suarez and Trackhouse, a non-big team winning. Um, that would have been really cool to see. Let me know if there's any issues with the sound, guys, because my uh, USB is getting a little. But Jay, were you disappointed with the race or were you disappointed with the finish? Because I think we would have wanted a little bit more of a short track finish. And Denny and Truex, having the problems that he did. Um, I'm not surprised that they're going to bring it back because it's gimmick. Matt, remember, they love gimmicks, and you don't like when the no-name teams. Skins, I think it's just because we don't see it that often anymore that I would have loved to see it. And for everything that went through, what Suarez went through, this would have been kind of cool to see him definitely be able to do it. Uh, I'm a fan of the smaller teams winning, Skins, but you're more than entitled to, as a NASCAR fan, to like whatever you like. But I think once again, a good point to that is we can normally expect that the big teams, they always seem to hype up that the big teams are not going to, you're going to have all these ringers and they're going to do so good. We didn't have that really. I would say you had Ryan Newman was the most successful dirt guy and finishing in fifth place. And after all of that, there's no real need. We've seen this very, similarly with um, races that, uh, for whatever reason, um, they put this big kind of big statement together that this is going to be, a big deal and this is going to be great and everything. Yeah, Bubba was, I don't know if he had a chance at winning, Chris. Nice to see you. Thank you for tuning in, Chris Campbell. Appreciate it, bud. I don't know if he had a chance to win, but he was top 10 all race until Ricky got into his tire there and cut it down. But that's what I liked about it. I will say that while the finish was kind of meh overall, what did it do? I think it gave a couple thoughts. I thought the racing mid pack was really good, but my major issue, especially with the truck race, that kind of led into this is that you didn't really have the battles for the lead that we were really kind of expecting. You didn't get that, and it's very clear that they made some mistakes with putting this together. But we're going to bring Graydon Bunn in here, and like I said, Graydon has been on the he's been on the DL for a little bit, but he's in right now. He's alive. So Graydon, I'm glad you're here. Hope you're feeling a little better.
Coming around.
We can't hear you, my friend. So yeah, it's okay. Reki. Yeah, Skins, he normally is. But what we'll have to do is I'm just going to basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to take Graydon out and I'm going to put him back in, because this is what tends to happen is, for whatever reason, sometimes his audio shorts out on us.
You got me now? No?
No.
Got me now?
Nope.
Nothing, eh?
We'll see.
Hello?
It's live technology, folks. This is always what we have to deal with, unfortunately. So we'll try and get this squared away. You might just have to exit out completely, and come back in. Just for whatever reason, guys, it's technology. You can hear him?
Hello?
Okay. All right, never mind. You're good.
Okay.
Let me see. Test.
Hello?
Maybe it's my end that can't hear him. What are we gonna do, man? You know what? I know what happened. Hold on.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah. For whatever reason, my laptop selects my microphone as the speaker instead of just the microphone. So you were there the whole time. I am so sorry.
It's all good.
Thanks to Emily, my sister, for being on the ball there to help us out. Chris Campbell, Jay Santos, Maddie Hall, and Emily Harris are all here. So thank you guys for tuning in tonight. I got Nala playing in a box over there. But so Graydon, let's start off. What are we thinking? Overall, do we like dirt? Do we like NASCAR on dirt? Cam's not fired. You shut your mouth, Emily.
So I want to say I am a big fan of the when a driver makes a difference in a race, and this dirt racing very much puts it in the driver's hands, which I'm a big fan of. Yes, there are some kinks that maybe need to be worked out of it.
There's a couple kinks that they need to work out. Yeah.
But I mean, if you take away, I mean, the truck race was kind of littered with cautions and stuff, but at times, like when you watched the racing when they were racing, it was good. I liked it, and I think this is the first time that they've done this. Okay, so like anything, there's going to be a learning curve, and it sounds like they're going to get a chance to do this again next year. So I mean, we have to look at this objectively and say that it's going to come around. Like I said, if you look at the moments where there's racing from front to back in the field, and I'm a big fan of that, and I know that they're going to work tirelessly to make this product the best it can be. So all I can say is bring on that Pinty's race at Osweekend.
Yeah, I think, we've got a couple people here in the chat with us, so we want to say hi to Jay Santos, Matthew Hall, who is officially our moderator for the channel. Traction. I'm not happy with the 22 winning. Neither am I.
Who is? That's just short track racing.
Jay Santos, NASCAR is not good on dirt. I love dirt racing though. I think, okay, I'm going to go back to that point in just a second. Skins, who do you think is going to win the championship as of now? Chris Campbell, let's do Eldora next. Okay, couple of things. Eldora probably not going to happen because of them passing over it for Bristol in the first place. And now the fact that they've awarded, I don't know if you guys caught it at the end of the race, that they've already announced they're going back next year.
Yeah.
So, but 7 winners in 7 races, pretty good start, I will say. And I would point that out. Would people be as upset, Graydon, if it was at a different dirt track and it wasn't at Bristol? That's what I think is the key point. I think what a lot of people are upset with is that they love Bristol, and the fact that this is basically replacing a Bristol race, people are not happy about. And I get that. I love Bristol. I love old Bristol way more than the current Bristol, let's be honest. And Skins, I think it's way too early to see who's going to win the championship. But I will say, if he didn't have as much bad luck today, I don't know how we don't say Kyle Larson looks really good for a championship favorite. He just seems to click very well with the team. Traction, I would have loved anybody other than Hamlin or Logano. I think you can say, I think Graydon knows that of all the drivers that I would like to win races, these two were not the ones that I was hoping would win. Yeah, and Eldora would be great, but I don't see it happening. Graydon, do you have anything to those points while I go adjust my lighting?
I think I would like to see it go to another track. I know obviously they're re-upping Bristol for next season already. It's not to say that maybe they do they maybe like what they see out of the trucks when they go to Knoxville. Maybe they'll end up going there, which I wouldn't be opposed to seeing. If they wanted to do a Canadian tour like we were talking about on Twitter today,
oh my God,
throw them at Oshweekend as a companion event with the Pinty series. I mean, the sky's the limit if we're talking in the land of if here. But
yeah,
I don't. At the same time, I don't want dirt racing to become the new mile-and-a-half thing where and the road course thing where you're just going to start saturating the schedule. Keep it to one event a year for each series if they're going to do it. I want to see the Xfinity series go somewhere. I feel bad that they got left out. Bring them to Canada. Yeah. What the hell?
I think Xfinity at Oshweekend would be fantastic.
Be a great fit.
I think the problem at Oshweekend, though, too, is I don't know if NASCAR standards are going to be higher for a track like that. I feel like if it was one of the top three divisions, they're going to want complete, like, safer barriers. They're going to want more seating. They're going to want...
Bristol didn't have safer barriers, though.
I know they didn't, but it's also a NASCAR-owned track, whereas a lot of these other tracks are not owned by NASCAR, so they're going to be held responsible, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know.
This whole dirt thing is a very new thing, and it
is. Yeah,
they got to iron the kinks out, as we say.
I thought the truck race compared to Cup was actually worse. And I think it came down to and I think you and I were in agreement, Graydon, that the pack racing was fantastic.
Yes,
it was. You couldn't get up there. There was no competition for the lead. And that, I think, is what hurt the racing, is that people wanted to see this. But I will admit, I found this way more entertaining than a lot of the Bristol races we've seen lately.
Absolutely.
It was more like the old Bristol.
Yeah.
You actually had people able to battle side by side throughout not just a section of the race, but most of it. I'd say the last 50 laps, I would have liked to see them not throw those cautions and throw in the green flag pit stops, because I would have loved to see the actual strategy, make it really hard for the teams, make it really hard for the drivers. Like, I don't know why we cater so much. You know, we're talking about like the dirt race back in the day, and Mike Joy pointed it out. Like they didn't have windshield, or they had windshields back then. So clearly they had to fight through not being able to see.
Yeah.
You know, Skins, I am new to NASCAR. This is my first year watching. Well, congratulations, bud. There's a lot of great races, lots of great races. I don't know a lot of backstory behind all the drivers, but why does everybody hate Logano? What has he done that makes everybody hate him? I don't know if it's just that he's done a lot of stuff or that he just comes off as very unlikable. For me, I don't hate anybody. That's the key word. I think when I was a kid, and Graydon, you're probably the same way, despised drivers, hated them. But as you grow up, it's not that you hate drivers. I don't hate Hamlin. I don't hate Logano. I'm more of a fan of somebody that like the underdog. I've always been that way though. Right. And so seeing the same people kind of always win after like, but for whatever reason, Harvick is always kind of, I've always been okay with him winning. So I'm not sure. I don't know if I find both of them a little bit whiny.
Yeah. As you said,
I think that when they're younger, it's like, I hated Kyle Busch for years, but since he's become a family, you actually, Kurt Busch, hated him as a driver. Hated him. I thought he was awful. I thought he was such a pain in the ass. But he was. But then he just matured, and I'm like, you know what?
You throw your career in the toilet and have it all taken away from you. You can make a decision to either learn your ways or get kicked out and left in the dust.
And I respect that he was able to get a career. Me too.
Back. That's the pivotal point for me too. Is when it showed how much it meant to him that he rectified and righted his wrongs.
And he was on death's door, man. Like he was done. Man. Phoenix Racing, no sponsor. Like he was done.
Yep.
So he fought his way back. I don't know if we can say that Logano's done anything like that. He hasn't. But
people's main beef with Logano was his entitlement, I think, because he was
very much.
He came from a very well-off family.
Yeah.
He kind of got his way to the top very quickly.
Well, 15 years old and you're driving Joe Gibbs equipment.
Exactly. So, I mean, there was a bit of resentment from kind of, I think, the general population on that. And the fact that he was kind of brash. I mean, he came off as kind of the timid little guy there for a while, but I mean, he's made some brash moves. Like he's had some pretty good dust ups with Harvick and Tony Stewart. And I mean,
that's one of my favorite. One of my favorite interactions ever was with him and Stewart of California.
Yeah, and that's something that shows how brash he can be. I mean, not everybody would do that to Tony Stewart. And he did. So, I mean, he shows that he has gumption.
That's another guy. That's another guy, Graydon.
Yeah.
Smoke. Yeah. We used to hate Smoke.
Smoke was my number one hated driver.
Yeah, he was for me too.
By the time he retired, he was right behind Dale Jr. as my number 2 favorite.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know, man. And maybe Skins, you'll kind of, you'll find after your own bit of time. That's the one thing that I love, that people come in and they're like, why do people not like this, or why? It really isn't up to us to tell you.
No, there's no wrong answer.
What we say is not at all important to what you're going to like. Okay. And I really do encourage NASCAR fans to not look at others to find who they're supposed to like. When I started, started watching in 2002, I just gravitated to Terry Labonte because he drove the Kellogg's car, and he had a mustache. My dad had a mustache, and that was it. It wasn't for any, big reason, but I knew right away I didn't like Tony Stewart, and it was just, that's what it was. We just got some comments here. Jay Santos, I like Logano as a person, not as a driver. I think he's a great person.
I think he's great in the booth.
I think he's great in the booth. I think he's fantastic. I think he could be one of those guys that does it as a career, like really. Yeah. Maddie, though I think the cars when they raced back in the 70s had a much higher ride height than they do. Absolutely, they do. Jay Santos, they all do come from money. it's an absolutely true point that every driver has to have money to be able to race.
That's right.
I think there's a difference, though, Jay, between coming from money and having somebody completely, or I'm going to try and phrase it this way. Having money to buy a ride when not having earned it. And I know that's a controversial way to say it, but there are some drivers that have had to take a completely different route. Now, everybody going to say that Matt DiBenedetto is a story of that type of guy. It's actually not true. Matt DiBenedetto was part of Joe Gibbs Racing. Darrell Wallace Jr. was part of Joe Gibbs Racing. So these guys, in a way, they're not handed that. They're not the, come straight from the, out of nowhere. I would say like the Garrett Smithleys and the Timmy Hills. Those are the guys that are the truly underdog stories. But in a way, you're right. Absolutely, everybody has to have money to get to do racing. There are just some who do it a bit more and have a bit more. I'd say you could even take a look at Michael Annett in the Xfinity series. He's had funding his entire career. Hasn't really had any success. He's had a couple of wins, but essentially, why is he with Junior Motorsports? Is it on talent or is it because he's got money? Right? It's a very difficult topic to touch on because so many people have so many, I think Graydon and I are the same way, is that we have kind of really big feelings about this. And a lot of people do. So we try to stay away from kind of talking about that type of stuff, because when it comes to who are we to declare if somebody deserves a ride or not? And we're fans, like we're just going to enjoy the product.
Further to that, further to the Logano point, though, it was also when you hear kind of out in the open drivers in their interviews and stuff, it was widely kind of consensus almost in the garage area, the feelings about Logano. Like he may have kind of gained ground now in terms of friendships in the garage, but he didn't have a lot of friends when he showed up on the scene, and he wasn't doing a lot of things to make a lot of friends, which I think is just what kind of painted him with that kind of persona. But I mean, when he does that stuff in the booth, like he does do a great job up in the booth. So I think he's kind of gaining traction back that way, showing that he's not that persona that people think he is on the track. That's like they say, you put the helmet on, that's the competitive animal coming out in you. And that's not the same person that's up in the booth calling the race necessarily. His competitive fire is not lit then. And absolutely, it's very easy to judge any sort of sporting event when you're watching it. But I mean, I learned that firsthand from Kevin Lacroix this year. Unless you're in that guy's helmet, you don't know what they're thinking when they're doing something that you don't necessarily approve of. So, I mean, Logano gets boos and stuff when he wins, but I mean, so do other people. And I mean, he's proven that he deserves to be in the Cup Series. I mean, he's not lacking talent in any way.
No. And I think people forget that everybody has been booed. Jimmy Johnson used to get booed all the time because he won so much. Jeff Gordon was booed all the time. I remember when I started watching NASCAR, Jeff Gordon got booed probably the most. Again, 2002, right? So, interesting. NSR, Nick Racing, thank you for tuning in, bud. That was cute that Joey gave that little girl a checker flag. I see this being a trend. I think this is what we're going to see with drivers and the checkered flag. It doesn't need to be in victory lane. I think it needs to be a giveaway. I like that that's what they're doing now.
Those kids will never forget those.
Never forget that. And who was the first person that did that? Because it was not Ryan Blaney. There was somebody who did it a couple of years ago. And I can't for the life of me remember maybe somebody in the chat can remember who it was that gave the checkered flag to a fan. I wish I could remember who it was. And for the life of me, I cannot.
Was it a truck series race?
I feel like it wasn't a cup. It was trucks or Xfinity. Yeah. And I would love to say I know who it was, but I cannot remember for the life of me. Chris Campbell, Tony Stewart had to go to anger management to save his career as well. That's absolutely true. And I believe Kurt Busch did as well. So, and mind you, when stuff comes out, I thought maybe it was Harvick, but I could be wrong, Matt. I'm not sure. For what is it? I thought it was Harvick too.
Maybe it was Harvick in a non-cup event.
But then again, I was thinking maybe he was just giving it to Keelan, right?
Yeah.
So then I'm like, I can't remember who it was, but Kurt Busch had to go to anger management. I'm surprised. I would be surprised if Kyle Busch didn't have some sort of anger management that he had to deal with. I think Kyle would just go and punch somebody in the face, where I think Kurt was he was way more, like, you can say that punching is aggressive, but I feel like Kurt's tendencies were a little more like he was really vicious about what he said and would try and like intimidate, where I don't feel like Busch tries to intimidate. I think he's just generally pissed off.
I think Kurt was probably worse than Kyle at his peak volatility.
I think he was.
He had to be humbled to learn that that's just not how you treat people.
Because was it not Pockrass that he threatened to punch in the face or something? When he
he threatened Jerry Punch too.
Was it? No, he did threaten Jerry as well. Yes.
I think there was like a long and distinguished list of people that he may have had conflicts with.
There was, but he was entertaining. I'm not going to lie. He was. We saw some of that today in the truck race, Graydon, with Matt Crafton dumping John Hunter Nemechek, and I get Nemechek being upset. But I don't know why Crafton's crew is all upset. But Crafton is easily becoming one of my favorites because him and his crew chief, Junior Joyner, just don't give a shit.
No,
they don't care. They've been there for 20 years. They don't care about these young kids coming in. John Hunter Nemechek is one of my favorites. I'm a big fan of him, but he wrecked. And they counted it on the broadcast grade, a solid 20 plus trucks went by before Derek Kraus hit him.
Yes, that was brutal.
What the heck happened there?
Yeah, that was some serious, not miscommunication. There was just none. I mean, how the hell can you barrel into somebody like that so long after the fact?
Was it ARCA brakes?
I don't know.
I have no idea how he did. Because it didn't look to me like he slowed down at all.
No, he just piled into him, and the truck would have been otherwise repairable.
He would have. I tell you, Nemechek would have gotten right back out there and spun Crafton. I think that's maybe why I'm a little disappointed at the finish, because I don't know about you guys, but it was awesome. Would have been awesome if Hamlin game bumped Logano out of the way. That was what it needed. I think we were all anticipating, a real Bristol finish of the old, and we didn't get it. And I think that's kind of what disappointed. Jay Santos.
I really wish Hamlin stayed low.
I don't know why I have no idea why he
should have followed Logano into that corner and tried to stay on his ass and wheelbarrow him right into turn one.
And I think that would have been what was that GIF that you put out with him from Martinsville? That's good short track racing,
Yeah, that would have been awesome.
That would have been great if we got to see that again, really. Jay Santos, they should have started doing that a long time ago. I believe you're referring to giving the flags to the fans. I think this is going to be a trend. I think that bodes very well. That's a good way to get fans for life. I think we've seen it with Graydon, with your boys. The interactions that they've gotten from some of their racing heroes at the Pinty Series. Big difference is that the Pinty Series, you get to go up and meet the drivers. You get to go out on the track, touch the cars, get a hero card. No matter what track you're at, they'll do it, right? Even I know that Graydon, we've been there and it's rained, and they still make sure that they have an autograph session. It's just in a building, right?
Always happens.
Yeah. Who was it that punched Kurt at Bristol a few years ago? Older fat guy, used to work in the booth. Jimmy Spencer. And it was actually he punched him at Michigan in 2003 after and if you haven't seen it, Jay or Chris, Chris, there's a clip from on YouTube from it used to have the NASCAR in cameras, and you can hear Spencer screaming at him, "Get out of that car! Come here!" Right just before he socked him in the face. So, and that was, if you haven't seen, I think Black Flags Matter, or I'm pretty sure it was Black Flags Matter or Danny B, one of those guys has a compilation video that's actually the NASCAR feud between them. And there was a lot, and it started at Bristol in 2002 when Kurt got his first win. That was one of the first races I've ever seen. And it was Bristol 2002 when he bumped Jimmy Spencer out of the way.
The old has-been.
Yeah. Yeah, that was it. That's when he, okay, so you guys, if you haven't checked out, there's a lot of great compilations. There's one with like the best quotes from NASCAR, and Kurt Busch's quote in 2003 when he talks about being punched by Jimmy Spencer, as he goes, "Last week wasn't its salt. Or he said something like being stuck in the back with all the decrepit has-beens. And he says, "Well, I guess Jimmy Spencer was a never was, right?
Yeah, that's right.
He was a never was, right? Oh, hilarious stuff." But yes, Mr. Good. Excitement. That's right, Jay.
Good trash talking.
Yeah, Maddie, I've been to one Pindy's race. It's so cool to see all the drivers. You can see them, you can meet them, talk to them, get a picture with them. You get a picture in the car. I even seen, I don't know if the boys have had this happen at the track. I know I've seen it a couple of times. They might not do it anymore, but they used to actually let the kids get into the car and get a picture behind the wheel. They may have put a stop to that when NASCAR became in charge, but I remember back to my first CASCAR race, and I was offered to do that, and I was like, no, I don't want to do that, but I regret it. Now I might have a little trouble getting into it, but yeah, they do a great job for the NASCAR Penny Series. A little bit different than Cup trucks and Xfinity because the crowd isn't as massive. Graydon, if you were going to say more dirt races, are you a yes or a no for that?
More? No.
More dirt races? No.
I'm like, my position is keep it unique, and keep it like one per series. I think I'm not opposed to them going to another track. I just don't think we need tons and tons of dirt races.
Yeah, I have to agree with you.
I think, don't confuse me when I say that I think there's potential there to be great, and I like it, but that's what's going to keep it special is by not doing it too much. I mean, yeah, we've gone down this road like how many times in NASCAR's history. I mean, they're kind of guilty of doing that. They get a sniff of one thing and then they're a one trick pony for too long. Really, they have to keep it with some variety, and
well,
there's prestige to it.
I think that's why we are stuck with Michigan, Pocono, California, Kentucky, Chicago. Why we're stuck with all of these big speedways is because they got a sniff of the big crowds and how they got massive success from the early 2000s. And then they figured, oh, well, what we need to do is we need to build these massive racetracks so we can just fill them full of people. That's not reality. They realized afterwards, you know what? Maybe we can't sustain a crowd this big week in and week out, for years and years to come. Even Bristol, if I'm not mistaken, let's take Richmond. Okay. When we went to Richmond in 2007, they had bleachers, they had stands surrounding the entire track. Now they only have stands on one side of the track. They've taken out the entire back. Now they did do a huge infield and camping and all that stuff, but at the end of the day, Graydon, I think we all know short tracks is the way to go.
Yeah.
I think adding the dirt track is good. I would question whether Bristol is the best place for it. I still think if you went, and I think you and I, when we first talked about this last year on the channel, when it was first announced, I think that the end story is that it should have been on an actual dirt track, not Bristol.
Yes, I think I understand. Like, it's Speedway Motorsports Group. They do everything big, right? And I think it also sort of has something to do with that, where because of who they are, they have to do the extravagant thing, and Bristol's the perfect stage for it. It's got the big, what do they call it? The big Jumbotron thing in the set. Like, it's a great venue. It is. They're not wrong, I think, but it's just hard to make the argument to put something that it's artificial feeling. I mean, it's real dirt, obviously, but when there's so many tracks that could probably honestly use the revenue too.
Well, they have to replenish.
Yeah.
That's the one thing I hate about what they've done is they used to go to so many different markets and help those tracks.
Mm-hmm.
They weren't NASCAR properties. And then they just cut all those away. So now all those tracks are being left to basically die, while NASCAR goes to failing markets. You can't tell me that they couldn't fill, I don't know, New Smyrna. I just off the top of my head. You can't tell me, with the limited amount of stands and stuff, you can't go and fill the stands there, put on one hell of a race, but helping that track with their revenue. Right? It's unfortunately something that we see across NASCAR. And I don't believe there's not any other companion events while this cup and the trucks were in town. You had the dirt racing the week before, but what are you helping? Right? If they were going to Eldora, that's putting investment into those weekly series that could be on before NASCAR comes to town. Right? With the crowds coming in. I don't think we want to see Bristol. If you go back and watch those early 2000s, man, look at the crowd. Look at the crowd is nuts. When you look at, obviously, of course, it's a little bit different. How you doing, Luke B? In the house? Glad that you're here, my friend. It sucks in a way, that you go and you still see, obviously COVID is one thing, but Bristol was struggling for a long time since they made the change. Does Xfinity do this next year?
I feel like there's a contingent of the Xfinity series that wants it. So maybe they do. Maybe they go to Knoxville as a companion to the trucks or something next year if that gets re-upped. So that will remain to be seen. But at the end of the day, NASCAR has tried to kind of break the mold in a really hard time to boot in terms of the world health crisis that we're in. But you got to give them credit, and also our Pinty's guys for seeing the potential in this. And I mean, they've been involved in Bristol's program for a few years now, but aside from the race itself, it was cool to see a Canadian company's name on top of the score ticker there during the telecast and everything. So I wanted to touch on that. I got to jump off here soon, but I really wanted to it was really neat to see Pinty's all over that place today, and great job to Tony Spiteri and his team.
Absolutely. I'm a little disappointed, however, again in Fox, because they have every opportunity to talk and say,
Stuart Friesen did it for them, but not enough.
They mentioned the Pinty series,
embellished on that a little, I think,
and they did nothing. And what, again, I noticed is Michael Waltrip. I haven't been the biggest supporter of Michael Waltrip as a commentator, but what I will say is he gives a ton of credit to the Canadian racers, and he typically covers them and mentions them during the broadcast, and always seems to get cut off by whoever's. It was Adam in the Xfinity series, and it was Vince today. When he's talking about a Canadian, they bring up somebody else.
Mhm.
And I would like just for once for him to be able to talk about that Canadian driver without being interrupted to talk about somebody else.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's just the way that they do things, but it was the common theme of what we've seen, which is we only want to talk about a certain amount of drivers. Again,
Look at that race our buddy Raphael Lessard ran today.
third place.
Yeah.
Third place with no dirt experience.
Mhm.
Outran Stuart Friesen.
Like a boss.
Like a boss. The best GMS truck.
Mm-hmm.
Did anybody expect that? I didn't.
That was awesome.
You know, and again, Michael's talking about him, and Vince goes, "Oh yeah, but what about?" And it's like, no, don't do that. Don't do that.
Yeah.
And you know, Bubba Wallace got a ton of fan support by talking about wanting to go back to Montreal in a Zoom call yesterday. And it's funny that that's what it's taking to hear that. Yes, Luke, unfortunately. Like I love watching the races. I do. But they've got to remember they have fans from all over, especially with Pinty's sponsoring this. You had way more fans from Canada tuning in because it was more readily available for the truck race.
Yeah. Thanks to TSN for doing that too.
Just so people that are from America in the chat, you might not know, we don't typically get to see the truck races on basic cable. It's not available. It's on a specialty shit channel called Fox Sports Racing that in most cases you have to get like an extreme, like the highest cable package to get, or you have to buy it separately, like the channel. So the fact that they were able to get it on a basic cable channel and have it on a race delay, you know, that's huge. It's not something that they normally do. And that was strictly from Pinty's. No one else made that happen except for Pinty's. NASCAR sure as hell didn't want it to happen. Pinty's said
it just goes beyond.
Yeah.
It goes beyond just having their name on the race. I mean, they did their homework in the homeland to get the maximum exposure. So, I mean, awesome job.
Yes.
And great job to Raphael on a hell of a good race today, too.
Very, very solid job.
Good day to be a Canadian race fan in that respect, anyways.
And he's, I think, what did we say about him last year? He needed to get comfortable.
Yep.
What we've seen so far, he's looking much more comfortable in GMS than he did last year at Kyle Busch Motorsports. He just, I don't know if it's a confidence thing, but he seems like because he was running well at Daytona. He was running well on the road course at Daytona as well. He hasn't had the best luck.
No.
But he's been running very, very well compared to last year to start the season. So Graydon, I know you've got to hit the hay and you got to sign off.
Yes, sir.
But I want to thank you. If you guys don't know, Graydon's been a trooper here and has been fighting through a bug. So he's made
got
it on here.
Misfire today.
He's had a bit of a misfire. He was leaking some oil, but he's doing okay now.
I feel like Eric Almirola's car looks is how I put it.
He's truly is the Scuff Tires of the Stickers and Scuff podcast.
Living up to the
He's living up to it. So Graydon, thank you so much. We've got an interview or so happening this week that we're really excited about.
Yes.
Did you want to tell the fans who we are going to speak with and what we can see on the channel soon?
Well, we are going to be sitting down with a couple of Pinty Series drivers on the tail end of Women's History Month. We will be talking to our first female guest, driver of the 43 car for Busch Racing. Chantel Kalika will be with us later coming on this week. And we also have a certain young rookie contender in the Pinty Series. You may have heard his name in the news recently. Trayton Lapsovich will be with us as well.
The quick kid is going to be on the show.
Yes,
I don't know if that's gonna. I don't know if that's gonna stick, but
I like it.
Yeah, the quick kid, and I don't know. I wanted to come up with a nickname for Chantel, but I I wanted to do something with her being like a mom, but I was like, I don't know if she's gonna like that, you know.
I was thinking the 43 angle, like you got the king, maybe she's the
The
queen.
queen, the queen, Chantel Kalika. I love that. Oh, that's an awesome idea. The Queen Kalika, here she comes. Yeah, I like it. That's an awesome idea. All right, well, Graydon, thank you so much for tuning in. People are telling
Yeah,
you
thanks
to
everyone.
feel better.
Thank you everybody for joining us. I mean, this has been the best part of my last couple of days, so means a lot. Thank you.
Thank you, buddy. Graydon
right.
Bunn, everybody. The regular co-host, you can check him out at Smooth Operator with 88s in the name. Also check us out at _SNS_pod on Twitter. So you can definitely check in with him. He's going to be signing off though. Maybe he'll go to bed and have some chicken soup. I don't know, but
I had some already. So
he's on the mend though, ladies and gentlemen, and we'll be back ready for our interviews. Thank you so much, Graydon.
No problem. Fun as always. Take care, everybody. Have a good night.
Thanks, Graydon.
Bye.
So that was Graydon Bunn, our wonderful co-host, joining us tonight. Friends, Luke, I see you have a comment here. They're hurting for sponsors. You'd think when a new international sponsor setups, they'd go out of their way to show appreciation and give them a ton of exposure, which could entice more international sponsors. You would have thought, but no. I was really surprised that they did that. They didn't even talk about. They don't talk about the divisional series at all. The Pinty series is something they need to cover. They need to get more attention there because our series is very much like the ARCA series in that it is hurting for sponsorship and it is extremely expensive. So that's what we're trying to do with this channel. Is we are trying to bring more awareness to the NASCAR Pinty series, bring more awareness to our drivers, those companies, and those race teams so that we can eventually be able to build them up into maybe 4 or 5 car operations. You know, we do have a couple that are 3 and 4 cars at a time right now, but obviously you want to get that grid as full as possible. We used to have grids that were rivaling the Cup series like years ago. You used to have 41 cars. I heard stories from people in NASCAR that were telling me that they used to have 62 try to qualify for a 40 car race, and they'd have to send like 20 home after qualifying races. Like that's insane, right? So if we can get something like that, that would be great. I mean, reality is it's probably not going to be like that, but that's what we're trying to do here on this channel. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. If you are new to the channel, of course, give us a like, turn on the bell for all notifications, and share us. We really are kind of a really small podcast. We'd love to have more people tuning in on a weekly basis. We do live streams on the weekends for the races. We tend to cover mostly Xfinity Truck Series, and of course, we throw the Cup Series in there as well for live streaming. But we mostly do want to cover the NASCAR Pinty Series. It is a little bit harder to get that because, well, we don't know yet if our season's going to start. We're really hopeful, but our COVID response has been a little bit slow, and we're at the vaccination portion right now. But unfortunately, it's going to be a long while, I think, until tracks are going to be able to allowed to open up. But thank you for tuning in, everybody that has tonight. We will be releasing our interview with either Chantel Kalika or Trayton Lapsevich. It's going to be released on Monday next week. So you will see us off this weekend because of Easter. We're going to release a couple of our previous episodes that we were when we were a part of RaceCanada.ca, known as Fanside. More than likely, it'll be our interview with Alan Bestwick, former of the NBC TNT booth, as well also commentating for ESPN for many years. He's broadcast really a ton of stuff and is my personal broadcast hero. So guys, if you can, give us a like. You know, we've got 5 likes on there. Maybe we can get maybe a couple more. That would be awesome. Find us on Facebook at Stickers and Scuffs Podcast with K and Graydon Bunn. Also, of course, you can also add us on Twitter at CamK Racing on Twitter and Instagram. Also, at the _ SNS _ pod for the Stickers and Scuffs podcast. Maddie, I don't know if there's anything else that I need to touch on for tonight. I don't know if there's anything else I need to touch on for tonight, but I want to thank you guys for all of your support. It's been a lot of fun to do these, and still trying to learn how to do it. It is, without a doubt, been an absolute blast to be able to chat with you guys and talk racing. So after all of the fun that we had today, finally getting the Bristol races done, thank you guys for that 6 likes. I appreciate that, guys. Thank you so much. We'll end it here. I'm starting to get a little sweaty under all the lights in the camera here. So, plus I gotta get back. You gotta work tomorrow. So, I want to wish everybody a happy Easter if you celebrate Easter, happy days off if you don't, and we will chat with you guys. You'll see the interview released next week, right here on the Stickers and Scuffs podcast. Thank you all for tuning in. Thank you to my moderator, Matthew Hall. Thank you to our Instagram manager and social media manager, Emily Harris, for tuning in. Thank you to my co-host, Graydon Bunn. Thank you to all who tuned in the chat today. I really appreciate it, guys. Thank you for the likes. We just got to get that subscriber count up there, and we'll be even better. Thank you, guys. Have a great night, and we'll talk to you all very soon.